General.
I mean, I still love Peridot, but I've been all about Spinel as of late.
Naturally. Spinel is charming.
I bet you're happy about that Lapis episode, huh?
I was very pleased, yes.
For me, though, the best future episode has been volleyball.
So I take it that Pink Pearl will be our new obsession.
She's dealing with a lot of stuff. And the Pearl Volleyball Mega Fusion is awesome. Pearly Ball is my new favorite couple.
I don't think it was intended that way.
So, we ship Lapidot, don't we?
A point well made.
You know what else? Steven badly needs therapy.
Agreed.
You know, it's strange talking to you like this since you almost killed me.
In my defense, you almost killed me right back.
I wasn't even conscious for that.
Still.
So, you think White Diamond's gonna get corrupted?
I think she has things bottled up that will overwhelm her.
Good theory.
I hope you had the time of your life.
Hiya! Penguin Truth here, and it's time again for the year-end English dub review, where I take a look at the English dubs for all the anime I've reviewed in the second half of the year. So let's get started, shall we? Sych-Point didn't do a lot of ADR work, but one of the things it did dub was Furikuri, and that was a pretty big accomplishment. Furikuri is what I consider one of the best anime dubs ever made. It has quite the pedigree to begin with Barbara Goodson, Kari Wahlgren, Stephanie Shea, and Dave Malo in it. You could tell how hard they had to work to keep with the manic energy Furikuri often had, and especially Wahlgren's Haruko. It also does this unique thing by having the dub use Japanese honorifics. Normally this would stick out like a sore thumb, but somehow it works here, blending in with the oddness of the OVA itself.
Come from Hawaii! And why would she get them there? And why would a wanted criminal take a vacation?
Vacation, alienation, Japanimation, manga, conga, naked lunch, Hawaiian punch, fruit, juicy.
It's not funny! I'm gonna kill me! It was your stupid joke!
Well, if I ever do take a vacation, I want to be all alone with Taku.
As if I'd go with you!
You're embarrassed, you little brat.
Stop! Don't noogie!
You don't hear too many ocean dubs these days. Scratch that. You don't hear any ocean dubs these days. But at one point, they dubbed quite a few anime, especially Gundam. Nowadays, Gundam stuff is done with mostly California and New York talent, but once upon a time, those woolly winter neighbors in the north dubbed Char's Counterattack. Returning from the dub of the original TV series were the voices of Amuro, Char, Bright, Mirai, and Cameron. This dub sounded a lot straighter, without as much leaning into the cheese as the original series dub. While I wouldn't rank it as one of the best Gundam dubs, or even one of Ocean's best, it does bear remembering for its competence.
If we fail to blast it with nuclear warheads, we've got to sneak into Axis and blow up this section right here. There's a large network of mining passages throughout the center, so it is possible.
Once this happens, the fragments of Axis will be blown safely out of Earth's gravity well.
That's a three-stage plan. We must complete it before enemy reinforcements arrive from Luna 2. Everyone, would you give up your lives?
I found the dub of XTV to be sort of an oddity, because it features so many excellent voice talents, but they clearly struggle to do anything with the material. When it features the likes of Steve Staley, Crispin Freeman, Stephen Bloom, Wendy Lee, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, and Michelle Ruff, you expect it to be a top-notch production. And the ADR director Eric P. Sherman is no slouch, having directed the dubs for Gungrave and Last Exile. But it all comes across so awkwardly much of the time. Something just isn't sparking between the various actors. There's kind of a sterility to it. It's not terrible, just not really impressive. Bang Zoom has done better. Much better.
This wish of yours, you wish to kill me, I assume. Me, who killed your dearly beloved elder sister? You really are very cute, Subaru.
Speaking of oddities, a Stephen Foster dub that isn't terrible. I'm talking about Cromartie High Schools, which, while having its own quirks, is rather accurate to the Japanese version and has decent voice acting. I'm especially fond of Jason Douglas as Hakuto and Greg Ayres as Hakuto's lackey. They play off each other really well. Any of these comedy dubs could be quite good, actually.
Here's the first question. Milk is the main ingredient in yogurt. True or false?
What kind of question is that?
My head hurts.
Proceed to the true or false marker. To see the answer, turn your attention to the Diamond Vision screen. The answer is true. Japan's new boss is Mr. Kamiyama from Tokyo.
They decide that in the first round?
On the other side of quality is the dub for Pokemon the First Movie done by 4Kids. Now don't get me wrong, I understand it's just Pokemon, it's for little children, and the dub reflects a more streamlined American children's movie approach, complete with its corny added jokes. The performances by the voice actors are all good, with Veronica Taylor, Rachel Lillis, and the others possibly at their best. But I cannot for the life of me recommend watching this in English because it misses the whole point of the movie. That is, instead of the lesson being that the clones in the originals having equal right to life, like in the Japanese version, there's a pat, fighting is wrong moral that contradicts the very nature of the franchise. Plus, I just plain prefer the Japanese soundtrack.
We dreamed of creating the world's strongest Pokémon. And we succeeded.
And speaking of movies that got a US theatrical release, there's Hayao Miyazaki's Princess Mononoke. Well, really more like Neil Gaiman's Princess Mononoke, as he wrote the dub script. And while it does take a couple of liberties here and there, it remains mostly faithful, if occasionally more in spirit than in word. I must have watched this movie dubbed a dozen or so times when it aired on miscellaneous movie channels in the early aughts. It features the likes of Billy Crudup, Claire Danes, Minnie Driver, Billy Bob Thornton, and Gillian Anderson for an all-star cast that sounds natural rather than a desperate ploy for celebrity gravity like some of the later Ghibli movie dubs.
We've only just finished it, milady.
It's still too heavy.
Perhaps if you didn't hold it so delicately?
Milady, if we make them any lighter, they'll fall apart. I trust you to figure it out. They're not for me. They're for the other women here.
And now, a tale of two funny dubs. It was the best of dubs. It was the worst of dubs. It was the age of McFarlane. It was the age of straight. Well, that's being a little melodramatic, since neither dub are the greatest or the worst, but one is clearly better than the other. We're talking the difference between Mike McFarlane's Eden of the East dub from 2010 and Sunny Street's Island of Assassins dub from 2005. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Funimation cast for Lupin features just doesn't do it for me. You can tell Street is having fun playing Lupin, but having fun and doing it right are not the same thing. McFarlane may have directed a pretty solid dub in Eden of the East, but he and Chris Sabat were phoning it in as Goemon and Jigen in Island of Assassins, and McCoy's Fujiko sounds a little too masculine for me. But back to McFarlane and Eden of the East, it's got a great cast which includes Michael Cinder-Nicholas, Stephanie Shea, and a criminally underrated Stephanie Young, among others. I'm especially fond of Newton Pittman's rough voice but lovable panties. I wouldn't say the dub is good as, say, Funny's dub of Bacano, but it's one of their better ones. Island of Assassins, on the other hand, I can't say it's too terrible. I'm just not feeling any real chemistry in the cast. I watch most Lupin features in Japanese. Violence Jack is a pretty awful anime, and the English dub isn't helping, with all the stiff, stilted deliveries and 15ing. But Manga Entertainment was never known for their great dubbing to begin with, now were they? The best I can say is that the dub certainly reflects the quality of the OVA, so in that way, it is pretty dead on. I can't imagine the Japanese version plays any better.
Say your prayers now, Jack. You put up a good fight, Jack. Level with me. You're not human at all, are you, eh?
This game's over, and now you die!
Sony Pictures seems to be the only credit I can find behind the dub of the Skycrawlers, but they used mostly West Coast talent like Stephanie Shea, Troy Baker, and Doug Earholz, with the addition of Michael Sinter-Nicholas out of New York. My best guess is that it was like an NYAV Post deal. Either way, the characters all had a very detached way of sounding, but it didn't reflect their voice acting talent, but rather how the characters were written. You didn't expect a lot of emotion because the characters themselves are basically manufactured soldiers with a very alienated existence, and Shay's character showing the most emotion was done rather well by her voice actor. So it was a good dub, but it doesn't give a lot of meat for the talent to chew on. I do plan on doing another voice actor appreciation video next year, by the way, and even have some ideas as to who to highlight. As with the first one, I try to have a variety of different Japanese and English language talents to focus on, as well as clips of their performances. If you have any recommendations, feel free to share them. Finally, I don't want to get too into the voice acting in the episodes I chose for the Christmas video, because I may cover one or more title as a whole later on, especially Big O. Just know that that particular dub is another one of my favorites and will get its day. Monster is less likely since it's long and unavailable, and You're Under Arrest is up in the air for me. We'll just have to see where the next year takes me. I have plans. Well, wasn't this a colorful year for Otaku Evolution? We started off looking at the first anime I was a fan of as anime. I did an 80s theme month, which will return. I did a month of favorites, got to my 150th video, and even reviewed Violence Jack. Maybe next year I'll even have an actual good microphone. And until that year, I bid you adieu, dear audience, for I'm taking some time off until February. Until then, this is Mike, Penguin Truth for Otaku Evolution. See ya! So, what did you learn from touching old Prince Rashus? So, how long will it take? How convenient. Sure it would. I'll go get you some thinking juice.